Hey YouTube, today we're going to talk about brakes that are better than stock for your G-Body. Now obviously I'm going to make a 3-part series for this. This is the first one. This will be the cheap version. Not saying the brakes are cheap, but this will be the cheapest out of the 3 that I do. And so let's get to it. This is your entry-level rear disc setup for a G-Body. Setup is off of a Cadillac Eldorado, which, I mean, it's an itty bitty rotor, but for a stock style rear disc, it's good enough. And you can get your parts from your local junkyard or from your local parts store. So for the guys that want emergency brakes, you're going to use a Cadillac Eldorado caliper, which has this weird mechanism right here. And that's for the emergency brake. Now for that to work on a G-Body, you do have to get aftermarket cables because of the end, how it snaps into that locking spring. And like, here's the factory one, super long. This aftermarket one fits perfect into the slot, and it fits perfect right here in the slot. Now also, because this is for stock style G-Bodies, if you look, it still has the factory flange. This is a bolt-on setup that works without modifying the flange. So for the 82 and up guys, you're going to use a Eldorado rotor, and then for the 78 to 81 guys, you'll use a 78 to 81 Turbo Trans Am rotor. And then for the guys that want this without the emergency brake cables, so if you just want a stock style, you replace this caliper with a front caliper off a G-Body, and it'll bolt up in the same spot. And let's get to the front and I'll explain that. And this is 98 to 05 S10 Blazer brake setup. So the spindle, the dust cover, the rotor, and then the 2-piston caliper with bracket. And the way you can tell the difference between a 97 and older S10 Blazer versus a 98 is the hub. On the older ones, this will have a old style threaded hub, and on the new style, this hub is separate from the rotor. So just something to think about. This is the best setup to get from a junkyard. Obviously buy the spindle and hub from the junkyard, or if you want the hub brand new, it's up to you. But you can buy most of this stuff from a junkyard for pretty cheap. So this is your standard G-Body brake hose right here. Now obviously I use the Blazer bolt to hold it in place because it's different than the G-Body bolt, but it fits perfectly and it matches up to the brake hose and brake bracket. So it makes it a super simple setup.
A few moments later.
And then while I was taking these wheels off, because some of you guys might still run these GTA style wheels or Grand National style wheels, for anyone that's looking at a junkyard to tell if the difference between a front or a rear GTA wheel is right here. So this width is going to be bigger on the front wheels only, and the rear wheels it'll be non-existent. And then also, if you look, there's marking right here, right there, and right here. So there's here's the markings right here. Here's the size of the wheel. There's the front only, which is the 4-inch backspace, perfect for a G-body. And that's the only thing you need to look at. So if you don't pay attention to the lip, look at the back. So look here, which will be 16 by 8 wheel, and then the 4-inch backspace right here, which would be front only. Now if you get the rear, if you get ones that say rear only, they're gonna have like a 5 or 5.5 backspace. They will not work on a G-body, and they're not really worth it anyway. So if you're buying it from a seller or a junkyard, or you just happen to have some on your car, the next time you're messing with a wheel, look and see if it says front only. So that's another tip for the day. So if you are wanting to do the Blazer setup, the spindles and hub, you can, if you are into lowering your car, you can, instead of buying a stock based spindle, you can get the lowering spindle. That also works. It's a 2-inch drop, so that's another option. It also works on a G-body. S10 Blazer parts work in interchange, so it's one of those things you don't have to freak out that you're buying Blazer parts, and they work great. The next video of this series, I'll explain the mid-range, which I treat as mid-range, a step better than this one. And if this did bring you any value and you did like the content, please like and subscribe, and we'll see you on the next one.